The Sisters of Dorley by Alyson Greaves. Read by Robin Nolan. Chapter 11, Friction Burns. Content warning for this episode contains dysphoria, self-harm, dehumanisation, and medical assault. 2019, October 26th, Saturday. Up, 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 no fucking dawdling. Mummy's got a hangover, and the sooner you little shits climb into your hamster wheels and start running, the sooner I can go back to bed. Maria's voice, hoarse and echoing in the concrete corridor, drags Stefan out of his nightmare. And he's already halfway out of the bed when the door opens and Pippa, looking very much the worse for wear, enters. Tactfully, she looks away, gives him time to climb back under the covers before she settles against the wall and leans her head against the brick. "Good morning," she says. Sounds like an effort. "Good morning." Stefan keeps his voice low, mirroring her mood and the manner that's become habit. He tightens the sheets around his chest, gathers his knees under his chin. "You have a hangover too?" "No," Pippa says. Her denial is undercut by her wince. "Aunt Bee's birthday last night," Stefan remembers. "Kidnappers getting together for a nice meal and a bit of drink." Bizarre to imagine them having such normal things in their lives as birthday parties and hangovers. "I'm fine," she insists, louder, and he looks away, realizing his skepticism must have shown on his face. Pippa is hard to predict. Sometimes she seems like someone he can get on his side. Other times she's as perfunctory as Maria usually is with Aaron. And occasionally she seems so angry she might ignite. Which is the real Pippa? No way to know. He's learning what to watch for. When she plays with her bracelet, she's emotional, more receptive, more apt to talk to him like a person. This morning, headache aside, she's all business, hands folded over chest. "Medical examinations, right?" He says, "Keep it factual." "Yes, don't bother dressing. You'll be showering in twos this morning. Supervised. We're re-examining some of our security procedures after Declan's little episode. For now, your unmonitored shower privileges are revoked." Stefan nods, locks his jaw so he doesn't give away his reaction again. Just what he doesn't need right now. More eyes on him. "Can you turn around so I can put on my robe?" "I'll see it all in a minute anyway," Pippa says. She's still inserting that sneer into her voice, but it's even less convincing than usual today. "Why bother?" "Please?" "Fine, I'll wait outside. But if you're not out in 2 minutes," she yanks on the door, "we're coming in and dragging you out, whether you're fully clothed or buck naked." She slams the door on her way out. He hopes it makes her headache worse. Quickly, he throws on his dressing gown and assembles his wash kit. He uses the rest of the time to buzz his chin with the electric razor. Being watched is one thing, being seen shaving quite another. He's never been able to put his finger exactly on why, but he doesn't have the luxury of questioning his neuroses. His composure is fragile enough right now. His shower buddy waits in the corridor, under guard. "Good morning, Mother Teresa," Aaron says. "How are the healing hands?" He's got a plaster over the cut near his eye. Maria must have got it for him. Stefan tears it off. It'll come off in the shower anyway, and ignores Aaron's whimper as he inspects the wound. "Almost healed." "Looks good." "Hey," Aaron squeals. Personal space. "Like that matters here," Stefan says. Pippa glances his way. He pretends not to notice. "I mean, yeah, okay, sure, yeah." Aaron folds his twitchy arms in on themselves and looks up at him. "You okay, Stefan? You seem kind of tense." When did Aaron ever ask him that before? Stefan weighs the pros and cons of telling the truth, finds the whole exercise exhausting, and shrugs. He dreamed of Declan again last night, attacking him and Aaron in the shower, and him and Christine at the party where they met, him and Melissa and Russell's childhood home, even Abby and Pippa once or twice in various iterations of the nightmare. And no matter how often he woke up and forced himself to think of other things, Declan would be waiting for him when he fell asleep again. He even watched a movie, in pieces between dreams. Didn't help, just got the happy working song stuck in his head. He's probably had even less sleep than Pippa or Maria. "Hey," he asks Pippa, "what are we waiting for?" The question earns him a prod in the small of the back from one of the women standing guard behind him. The impertinence of asking questions. Maria, leaning lazily by the wall by the double open doors, replies for Pippa, who has her eyes closed. "We're waiting for that," she says, and nods to the door to the bathroom, which bursts open a few seconds later, heralded by some troublingly masculine shouting. It's Declan, and it looks like he's fallen down a flight of stairs, been taken back up to the top and thrown down a couple more times for fun. He's naked, and barely a square centimeter of skin is left unbruised. His hands, cuffed behind him, shake. and he drips water on the floor as he staggers past the end of the residential corridor, trailed by Monica and 3 other sponsors, all armed with tasers and baton. "Hey," he yells. "Aaron, Stefan, why don't you fucking puffs fight? They won't be able to keep us here if we all..." Monica interrupts him with a baton strike to the chest, and for a second he looks like he might retaliate, start a brawl right there in the hallway. But he backs down when the other sponsors level their tasers at him. Slowly, reluctantly, he faces front and hobbles back down the corridor to the cells, followed by his escort. Aaron breaks the silence. "He has a point. We should definitely fight. What do you think, Maria?" He balls his fists, raises them like a newsreel pugilist. "You want to go a few rounds?" Maria, massaging the bridge of her nose, says, "No." "You sure? Best 2 out of 3? Go, shower, now, before I put you and your friend in the cell next to Declan just for annoying the piss out of me when I got a hangover." Pippa and the others escort them in, but Maria stays behind to coordinate with the other sponsors or possibly just to indulge in her headache. Stefan's always been perversely irritated that the guards don't have any kind of uniform to distinguish them from the sponsors, because, according to Abby, they mostly are sponsors, but to 2nd and 3rd year women who don't need constant supervision anymore, filling out the numbers so not every 1st year sponsor has to be on the job all the time. Stefan's been waiting to see Christine's sponsor, Indira, amongst them, but so far few have been South Asian, and none of them have matched his hazy memory of the picture that Abby showed him over consensus. But today one of them is wearing particularly nice clothes, and it's all he can do to keep his eyes away. Stop comparing himself to her. Pippa's habitual dresses are bad enough. This girl's outfit makes his chest hurt. He needs a distraction, so he asks Pippa what happened to Declan. "He got 3 strikes. "I heard, but what happened to him? He looks like he lost a fight with a brick wall." "What happened to him is that after 3 strikes, privileges taken away, supervision increased, carrot removed, stick and placed." She nudges at Stefan with an elbow, and the contact makes him flinch. "Now go join your little friend in the shower before I push you back out the doors and let Maria use you for headache relief." Stefan nods, stops halfway into the shower annex. "Do you really have to watch us shower? You can't just leave the room or look away." "No," one of the women he doesn't know says. The other one, scrolling on her phone, rolls her eyes. "Sorry," Pippa says, sounding like she almost means it. "I'm just as unhappy about this as you." "I really doubt that." "Aaron, his little friend, they're great, they're inextricably linked." Is already washing and facing away from both of them, for once not taking advantage of the situation to waggle his dick around. Maybe he feels the gaze of all 3 women too. He takes the shower at the far end, putting as much distance between him and the sponsors as possible. Maybe they all need glasses and won't be able to see him clearly? Wouldn't that be a lovely thought? His skin prickles anyway. "You didn't answer me before," Aaron says. Stefan risks a glance, the boy's facing the wall, angling himself away from Stefan and sponsors both. Shy, all of a sudden. "Are you okay? You really did seem tense out there. And then there's Declan. Why do you care?" Stefan asks. There's no hostility in the question. He really, truly does not have the energy to spare, but he's curious. He turns up the tap to its hottest setting and ducks under. Only lukewarm, but getting warmer. "But why do I care? Because we're buddies, comrades, fucking friends, man, aren't we?" Water's getting hotter. "Aren't we?" Aaron repeats. You shouldn't antagonize Maria like that." "What? Man, you want to end up like Declan? Back in a cell, bruised and limping? 3 strikes, Aaron. How many do you have?" "1. Aaron's usually lively voice, somewhat depleted out of apparent concern for Stefan. "What a joke," flattens completely. "You weren't here yet when it happened." "Oh yeah." Stefan starts rubbing in the shampoo, leaning away from the flow of water, which is starting to make his skin throb when it strikes. "What did you do?" He leans against the tile to rinse his hair. Fingers are already pink. You don't want to know that." There's a feeling that Stefan gets sometimes when he's being watched, like a heat in the back of his neck. More a rash than a blush. It stings like an insect bite, itches like a burn. At his job, about a week before he came here, the feeling hit him so powerfully he had to abandon his till and excuse himself to the staff toilets, obviously the men's, and lock himself in a cubicle so he could slam the back of his head, where the bruises don't show, into the stall wall, over and over again until pain overrode discomfort. No such privacy here, but there are other ways to cause pain. How hot can the water here get? Time to find out. Pippa and the two other women standing at the other end of the annex, watching him, witnessing him. He can't stop imagining how he looks in their eyes. Pathetic, broken, their nonchalance amplifying their contempt. Another man brought here to be corrected. Another boy. If you don't tell me what you did, he says to Aaron, I'll assume the worst. Yeah, well, you'd probably be right. Stefan laughs and the water floods his mouth. He spits. You showed her your dick, didn't you? Only a little. Jesus fucking Christ, Aaron. It's why she hates me. I mean, it's not the only reason, but it's, enough. Stefan threads the conditioner through his hair, leaning his head against the wall. Hot water scalds his bare back. She probably should hate you, Aaron, he says. Whatever filter he tries to apply to his thoughts is gone. Hell, I should hate you too. Don't know why I don't. Don't know why I'm even a little bit happy to see your stupid face every morning. Aw, you're happy to see me? Don't get too excited. Who else am I going to talk to? Fucking Declan? I hated you, Aaron, and now for some reason I don't. Well, I'm flattered, but I hated you, Stefan continues, because the only way to stay in control is to keep talking, spitting out everything in his head, keep his mouth too full of bile to scream the way he wants to, because you're a prick. A misogynist prick who harasses women. Water flows into his mouth again, and little roots of pain burrow into his gums and teeth. Hands on the tile again. Steady. You sent pictures of a dick to a woman who did not ask to see them. And not just one. Fucking plural. Water sears his back, burns through his skin, exposes muscle fat and warped fragile bones, all of them the wrong shape, too big, too clumsy. He can feel his body's weight, pressing him down, holding him in space. Did you find the best light, Aaron? Did you find the right angle? Did you trim your fucking pubes to make your cock look bigger? What? No, that'd be weird, dude. Oh, that would be weird, would it? Stefan can't hold himself still. A body reacts to pain, tries to save itself, and he fights to stay under, locks his limbs to keep from shaking. He needs this, deserves it. He straightens, slicks back his hair, raises his face into the boiling water, stretches up on his toes, elevates his whole body, feels it like acid rain on his shoulders, his neck, his cheeks, his skin. Stefan! Aaron's seen the color of Stefan's skin and is running over, almost strobed by the film of water obscuring Stefan's vision, steadying himself on the taps and the showers in between. Steph, you're hurting yourself. Fuck off, Aaron! He tries to push Aaron away, but the boy is pulling at his arm, wincing as hot water sprays over him, dragging both away from the shower and into the clear space in the middle of the annex. Stefan tries to get rid of him, but Aaron holds on. What the fuck are you even doing here anyway? What do you mean? Aaron practically screams. Finally, Aaron has to let go, for the sake of his own balance. Stefan, relieved of the weight, slips onto the wet floor and falls, lands on his rear, barely even registers the pain. Fuck it, embrace it. He rearranges himself on the tile, legs crossed, leaning back exposed. Oh, you all want to see this wreck? Want to witness it? Then here it is. Look at it. Fucking look at it. I mean, he says, that you're a fucking idiot, Aaron. Do not see how stupid all the shit you keep doing is. How unnecessary. It's not a part of you. It's not, you're just fucking around. It's not intrinsic. He strips the word apart, hits the floor with closed knuckles on every syllable. You don't have to do any of it. You could have just been an regular guy. You don't need all that shit. He looks up and fixes the confused Aaron with a sneer. Why did you do it? Were you bored? Were you lonely? Did you just fancy her that much? Aaron flails his arms as he replies. I don't know, all right. I just do things sometimes. Stefan laughs. The water, still running, pools around him. There's a little red mixed in, and he inspects his knuckles, bleeding. You're a likable enough guy, you know, Aaron, he says. You're nice looking. You can be fun. You even have money. You could have just been you. Got along fine. You didn't need to be a fucking prick. But you were anyway, and you got dragged down here under all this fucking concrete. Aaron crouches. His eyes quickly cover Stefan's body. Looking for what? I didn't get along, he says quietly. Nobody liked me, okay? Nobody. For a million reasons. I know what I'm like, but what the fuck else am I gonna do? I'll boo fucking who, Aaron? Nobody likes me, so I harass women. That's sad. Fuck you, Stefan, he says, straightening up. No, fuck you, Aaron, you little perv. Aaron throws his wet towel on the floor of the shower room, wraps himself up in his robe, and leaves the annex as quickly as the slippery floor will allow. Stefan, uncaring, hangs his head back and stares at the concrete ceiling. What are you doing, Stefan? It's Pippa, advancing on him, leather boots kicking up spray, frowning. Great, he's a puzzle again. She holds out a hand to pick him up. He ignores it, pushes up from the floor on his own, returns to his shower. But it's not helping anymore. It's just really fucking hot water. He closes the tap. You're red, Pippa says with a gasp in her voice. All over. Doesn't it hurt? He smooths up his hair, out of his eyes, and slips his robe back on. The rough fabric scratches as it's over his scalded skin, and he bites the inside of his cheek to keep from crying out. As soon as he's covered, as soon as he's hidden again, he follows Aaron out of the bathroom. Of course it hurts. That's the point. Christine has managed to forget that Indira's thumbprint is registered to her door lock, so her entry comes as something of a surprise. It shouldn't, it was her habit for a long time. And Indira's always been prone to nostalgia for the earlier days of their relationship. Now that she's reassigned, she's probably feeling a bit more sentimental than usual. Hi, Teeny, she says. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Paige. She's dressed for a day out, in the light colours she prefers, sunglasses atop her head, knee-length skirt billowing in the breeze from the open window. Remember when I used to wake you all the time? Well, I have a helper now. In the second year, it was a common occurrence for Indira to wake her with a tray of breakfast, some good cheer, and the details of whatever feminine aspect of her feminine bearing she had to attend to that day. Usually Indira would reminisce about how good Christine had it, because in her day, they had yet to phase out all the archaic mannerism training, hours of learning such irrelevancies as how to stand gracefully from a chair while wearing a short skirt. Whereas Christine and her cohort were lucky enough to be simply handed a pair of high heels each, given access to the dress-up box, and left more or less to their own devices. If it hadn't been for Paige meticulously trying on every type of garment at least once, and Vicky enthusiastically putting together something beautiful or fun, and encouraging the others to model something similar, Christine would probably still have trouble walking in heels. Even if it sometimes took a little encouragement from Paige to get her to stop playing with the new phones they gave them. Smartphones change at a surprising amount in a single year, and start taking the whole business of being a woman at least slightly more seriously. She raises 2 fingers to her lips in memory. They are, Vicky aside, different people now, yet still always together. Beatrice said you might need fluids, Hassan says, following Indira through the door with a tray laden with drinks and cereal bars. This is very nice of you, Indira, Hassan, Christine says, pushing up in bed and making sure she's sure to take the sheets with her. There's discarded underwear on the floor, and she's not about to take the slight pressure around her chest as evidence of her that it's not hers without visual inspection. But we're kind of in a compromised position here. Indira refuses to be scolded. Aunt B said you all ended up in here. No need to ask how she knows. The corridor cameras. A reminder to hop into the system and make sure she and Faye weren't caught on video using the back stairs. There's no cameras around those doors that she knows of, but it's possible they might show up in the corner of the conservatory camera, accessing an area that they shouldn't. And she suggested, Hassan continues, that at least one of you could use some hangover care. Paige, the guilty party, shuffles up onto her elbows, curling a section of sheet around her chest with one hand and fetching a glass of orange juice with the other. She smiles her gratitude at Hassan, passes the glass on to Christine, and retrieves another for herself. Didn't mean to be rude, Vicky says, not yet sitting up. But, could we have a little privacy? We're all, we're naked, Paige says, taking a deep drink from her juice. Pretty sure we all have headaches, Christine adds. Say no more, Hassan says, and takes Indira's hand. After some minor negotiations, yes, Christine will come down to the kitchen within the next hour to see her off. Yes, Vicky can give them a lift because she's going that way anyway. They leave the 3 girls alone. Vicky rubs her face and groans. Why do embarrassing things always happen around you, Tina? Vicky says. No one's boyfriend sees me in my underwear at home. Because I'm cursed, Christine says. Do you even allow men in your house anyway? It's not like a rule, it's just a coincidence. No men except by appointment, Christine mimes, nailing a plaque into a wall. What do you do if a stray wanders in by accident? Do you even have a basement? Bad taste, Tina, Vicky says, throwing off the covers and revealing herself to be, out of all of them, possibly the most clothed. She must have dug through Christine's drawers at some point and borrowed the cami she has on, and thus, by process of elimination, which Christine participates in by rolling her chest and feeling her breasts have moved inside last night's bra, establishing Paige as the least. We have an actual trans girl in my house. No feminization jokes allowed. Christine bites her lip against the temptation to retort by saying they have one here too, and her throat tightens momentarily. Medical exams this morning, right? She'll have to check on Steph later. That's literally my entire repertoire, she says. I run on gallows humor. And estradiol. Actually, Paige, can you pass me my pills? They're in the drawer. Paige complies, popping one out for herself. Exactly how much did I drink last night, she says, mostly unimpeded by the pill. They've all had considerable practice at talking normally while estradiol dissolves under their tongues. Feel worse than I did after the Christmas bash. Too much, Vicky says. There were sherries, and those little alcoholic chocolates. And you had, I'm pretty sure, more wine than me and Vic combined. I hate myself, Paige mutters. Consider it a valuable life lesson, Vicky says. Tina, can I borrow some clothes? Christine waves her permission, and Vicky starts digging, eventually pulling out a pair of white shorts and pairing them with a sky blue top, a combination that reliably makes Christine look like she's off to play sandcastles at the beach, and so obviously looks incredible on Vicky. Wordlessly, Christine drains her orange juice and then drops an estradiol into her mouth, trying not to think about how much work she has ahead of her if she wants to be effortlessly and consistently feminine as Vicky. Step 1 might be to become an entirely different person, but she's done that once already and she isn't keen to repeat the experience. I, she announces, need a shower. She's not all that surprised when Paige follows her to the bathroom and sits heavily on the toilet. As Christine finishes pulling off her underwear, throwing her bra and knickers into the small hamper in the corner, and hanging the beautiful borrowed stockings carefully over the towel rack, she once again marvels that Paige, with her elegant figure and torrent of dark blonde hair, still at least half extensions, can make naked look like high fashion. As usual, Christine is the clumsy, unfeminine hobbit against serene, pristine elves. The frosted shower door saves her from any more unflattering comparisons. When exactly did I take off all my underwear? Paige asks eventually. I have no idea. You were still in your stockings when I fell asleep. Christine doesn't add that she knows this because Paige trapped her with her leg for at least half the night. If you need clean stuff, you can borrow some of mine. Dying to see how much better my bras look on you. They'll look worse, Paige says. You're bigger than me. There. She doesn't quite sound like herself. The hangover? Sports bras then. Okay, thanks, Paige says, and falls silent after a while. It's not until Christine gets done shaving her leg she says anything else. Christine, what are you going to do when you leave the program? Aunt B is very close to giving you your freedom, I think. Christine's reply bubbles in her throat as she rinses out the conditioner, so she doesn't answer until she steps out of to see Paige sitting on the toilet, knees together, uncharacteristically pensive. I don't know, Christine says, carefully. Probably keep living here till I graduate Saints. Maybe longer? Paige, is something up? I'm not sure, she says. After Nell, I've been thinking about the last couple of years, about the way I've been, about who I've been, and about us as friends. I mean, all of us. Remember what I said last night? How all our friends are just your friends? I remember disagreeing, Christine says, wrapping herself in a towel and wincing slightly. Her nipples are still a little sensitive. I feel like I'm about to lose everything, Paige says. Vicky's already drifting away. She spends more time with Lorna and her other friends than with us. And now you're not actively being sponsored anymore. You're a step closer to leaving. Then will I even see Indira or Abby again? I don't want to be alone, Christine. Christine holds out her hand and waits patiently until Paige takes it. She tugs gently, encouraging her to stand. Accept the hug. You won't be alone, she says to Paige's shoulder. I feel so pathetic, Paige says. Everyone else is moving on, and even though I have these plans and I can step through them, point by point, I can talk to brands, do photo shoots, put myself out there, all I can think is, what's the point? If I come back to here and my room and I'm the only one here, what's the point? Hey, you have a plan and you're actually executing it, which is beyond amazing, Paige. I don't have plans. I have vague intentions. And 2, Christine pulls away a little so she can look up at her. You're not the only one that doesn't have anyone else outside these walls, okay? That's not all I am, though, right? Not just someone you live with, someone you know, someone you went through some stuff with, someone you experimented with. No. Christine keeps looking up into beautiful amber eyes that don't look back. You're one of my best friends, Paige. I would never, ever thought when I was how I was before that I would have someone like you in my life, that I would ever be so lucky. You're incredible, okay? I'll always choose to have you in my life. Paige leans into the hug, drawing Christine back in, pressing her whole body against her. Okay, it's just, I realize my plan, the one you're so impressed by, it doesn't have people in it, and I couldn't stand it. And I can do it, I can go out there, be the cis girl I'm supposed to be, but I need a life, not just a career. And I need people in it who are real, who belong to me, and not just the persona. I want to stay close to them. I want to stay close to you. Are you saying you want to be one of those women who leaves uni and then straight into a flat share with her dorm roommates? More or less. Let's do it then. Let's add that to the plan. You and me. Abby, if she wants to come. We'll live near Vicky and Lorna. Christine draws distracted circles on Paige's back. You know what? I might be at least as scared of the future as you are. Making a life as Christine? I want it, but it's terrifying. I know how to be me, sure, but mainly I know how to be me in here. And I don't want to be like Maria and Aunt B, never leaving Dorley Hall, calcifying in here. I want to get out there. And Paige, if I can do that with you, Abby, Vicky, with Indira, that's like half the terror factor gone, instantly. Good, Paige says, muffled. She's buried her face in Christine's wet hair. You know what I've never been scared of, though? Being alone. Not really. I've never doubted that we'll stay together, all of us, in some way. I'm fully expecting to be 90 and still have you in my life. You, Dira, Abby, Vicky. We're family, Paige. We always will be. You mean that? Christine stands on her toes and whispers into Paige's ear. Let's be crotchety old ladies together. She's instantly hugged tighter, lifted almost off the floor and held there until Vicky bangs on the bathroom door, breaking the spell. I'm going downstairs, Vicky yells. I need medicinal amounts of coffee. Paige puts her back down and steps back, smiling. I'm incredibly naked, aren't I? Christine lifts the hand she's still holding, brings it to her lips, and kisses Paige gently on the knuckles. Babe, you are so fucking naked. You're an idiot, Stefan. What are you? A fucking idiot. Why do you do these things to yourself? These people are gonna see every inch of you by the end of the day, so why, can't you just cope? Taking off his robe and dragged a layer of skin with it, or it felt like he did, Stefan now sits gingerly on the chair in his room, dabbing himself carefully with a towel, trying to dry himself without making anything worse. There's a tube of moisturizer by the computer, and every time he gets a new patch halfway dry, he rubs a handful into the pink, stinging flesh. Had to mouth off at Aaron too, didn't you? Idiot. You had one friend down here, and just because you're too stupid to compartmentalize, you might have alienated him for good. Fucking piece of shit, keep your mouth shut. He didn't get the chance to collect himself. That's what it was. Straight from bed into the shower, from alone and naked and surrounded by people and faced with Pippa and Aaron and Maria and fucking Declan in quick succession. No time to prepare himself. No wonder he got caught in his worst attack yet of... Stefan's never known what to call it. He's looked it up online, but nothing's ever felt adequate. It's being witnessed, known, understood, reduced. It's as if he exists in a quantum state, balanced equally between the things he is and the things he's not, and the act of observation collapses him only into the things he is not, unmakes him, pulls him out of himself, leaving only grotesquerie behind. Best prepare then, because diving into a shower in the hottest setting and waiting for his skin to sluice away from his body is not a coping strategy he can use long term. By the time his door opens and 3 women file in, Pippa, Maria, and another older woman he's never seen before, Stefan's dried, dressed, slightly less pink, and marginally more prepared for what's about to happen. Abby described it. There'll be a full-body examination, although she was light in the details. He would have pressed her on it, but something about her phrasing suggested she didn't want to relive it. Then he'll have some blood drawn and provide some sperm. The sperm thing is a worry. Pippa leans against the wall and Maria the door. No getting out except through her. The nurse shoos him off the chair so she can sit down. Strip, she says as he perches on the end of the bed. Hi, he says, running through his prepared script. I'm Stefan. Would it be okay if it was just you and me in the room, please? I'm uncomfortable being naked around so many people. I promise I won't give you any trouble. Aha, the nurse says, turning to half grin at Maria. This one's polite, isn't he? She turns back. They stay. Now strip. The third time I have to ask for anything, I do so with this. She pulls a taser out of her pocket, the same touch-sensitive strip as the one the sponsors have. Although it's a bulkier unit, a heavier charge, usable only by sponsors and, evidently, nurses. Stefan nods, turns away from them to undress. He's not wearing much. Less weight in his sore skin. Only takes him seconds to drop the t-shirt and trousers onto the bed. Underwear too, the nurse says, waving her taser. Stefan complies, and she turns back to Maria. Wow, what happened to him? Some new protocol I'm not briefed on? He looks like he's got sunburns. Stefan can't help twitching at the question. The shower water was too hot, Pippa says. That's it? Out of the corner of his eyes, he sees Pippa shrug. I think he was distracted, didn't notice it was too late. One of the other boys was needling him. You know how it is. The scabs on his knuckles too. Yes. Pippa apparently hadn't seen those. He fell. He fell? You're sure? Yes. Fine. All right, boy. Turn around. All the way around to face us, the nurse sighs. And move your hands, and strikes the back of Stefan's wrist with a biro. Stefan complies, forcing stiff hands behind his back, exposing himself, keeping his mind as blank as he can. He's a robot, following instructions. He's a mannequin, a posable doll. He's not here. He finds a spot on the wall near the door to look at, but he can't stop his gaze flickering every so often to Pippa. She looks concerned, and either she hadn't really understood what happened in the shower annex, or she just lied for him. Why? Okay, the nurse says. Let's go. Tasers up, please. Maria and a second later Pippa raise their weapons at him and keep them raised, pointing right at him, as if he might suddenly become dangerous. And Stefan understands why when the nurse leans down and cups his genitals in her hand. He forces his teeth together, balls his hands into fists behind his back. What's this, Karen? Pippa says. It's just the procedure, the nurse, Karen, says, rolling Stefan's testicles around in her fingers. You didn't do this to your last boy? Karen finishes. Stefan almost too occupied keeping himself frozen to notice Pippa's slip-up. No, I imagine not, but I heard your friend Barb retired, so now you have me. This is too. Maria, do we need to have this girl removed? Maria moves her steady, practiced gaze to Pippa, although her taser remains focused on Stefan. No, she says. Pippa's fine. Yeah, Pippa says and locks eyes with Stefan for a moment. He doesn't know what he reads there, and she quickly looks away. I'm fine. Good, the nurse says, and rummages in her bag for an iPhone and a measuring tape. Stefan manages not to react when she pulls his penis out to its maximum length and holds the cold tape up against it. I must say, Pippa, tapping a number into her phone, he's a credit to you. Very docile. Normally we'd have to knock them down at least once by now. About half these exams are on boys who are unconscious. I'm sure you remember. Well done. Thanks, Pippa says. Stefan closes his eyes. No one comments on it, as far as he's aware. He stops listening to the nurse, tries to listen to the sound of his own heart instead, and feeling the pulse in his wrist as he's able to do so, or so he imagines. He lets his body be guided into whatever positions are required. He breathes slowly and carefully and concentrates on being nothing but a functional automaton. A machine made of meat, he remembers. Muffled, the nurse goes about her inspection, stands him on a scale, notes down his weight and height with a comment that both are very suitable, and pushes him down into a sitting position at the edge of the bed so she can examine his head and neck. The sharp rap of a biro on his forehead forces him back into the room. Boy, hold out your arm and make a fist. If I have to ask again, I'll shock you first. God, it's bright in the room. Stefan, still naked, still being watched, takes a moment to pick something new to look at. The computer, fine. Then he unlinks his fingers on his arm and holds out his arm, fist still clenched. The nurse gives him a strained look and starts pinching at his forearm until she finds a vein. 5 vials. Another rap on the forehead. Hey, brain dead boy, put your clothes back on. None of us enjoy looking at all that. He controls his flinch. At least this time he can turn away while he dresses. He puts on a clean hoodie this time. No matter the weight on his skin. More armor the better. When he's done, the nurse drops a collection cup and an iPad onto his bed. Imagine that's his first porn in weeks. Make sure he doesn't blow his load before he can get it in the cup. He doesn't look up as they leave. Just sits down on the bed again and slowly leans back, keeping his feet on the floor, resting his head against the duvet. He's aware of a mild commotion outside, but he occupies himself counting the cracks in the concrete ceiling. At least he has some time while they talk. How long will it take to become properly human again? To reassemble his imitation of a functional person? But then the lock cycles and Pippa quietly re-enters, closing and locking the door behind her. Stefan, barely limber, finds himself locking up again. Whatever. At least he's dressed. Pippa sits delicately on the end of the bed, moving the cup and tablet to the desk. I'm sorry about her. They didn't do the crutch stuff before. That's new. I would have warned you. Why? Stefan's voice is dry and difficult. Because, Pippa says, indignant. She makes a fist like he did, but releases it. Starts messing with her bracelet instead. I know I haven't given you much reason to trust me, and I feel like this might have put us back where we started. Worse, even, Stefan snorts. But I'm here to help you, Stefan. Here to make you better. This place works if you let it. I've seen it. He has nothing to say to that. He knows too much, and he isn't in a frame of mind to edit. And her suddenly earnest face reminds him of Christine. He's surrounded by true believers. All of them, even the nice ones, want to tell him the good news of Dorley fucking Hall. Why won't you talk to me, Stefan? Pippa says, kicking the bed frame. Because, he croaks. He didn't mean to antagonize her, but he's in no position to be the person, the man he's supposed to be right now. He needs time to get himself back. Surely that's obvious. How can she not see that he's been freaking out all morning? Is he that good at hiding it? He knows he's not. Pippa looks at him. He feels it on his skin, like boiling water. Breakfast time, she says. I'm staying here. You won't eat? Eating means Aaron. It means Will and Adam and all the other fuckers out there. It means sponsors looking at him in the hallway and the nurse look at him. No. I could count this as a strike. Stefan pulls the covers up over his head. Would keep pulling if he could. More and more layers. He'd bury himself. Anything to be more comprehensively hidden from the world than he already is, here in this concrete dungeon. Do what you have to do, Pippa. He can only guess at her reaction. After a minute or so, the mattress shifts as Pippa's weight leaves it. The door opens and closes quietly, and finally grants Stefan peace. The mug tree has been emptied of all the joke mugs. For security purposes, obviously. When there are outsiders in Dorley Hall's main kitchen and dining hall, you don't want them discovering anything that even hints at the place's true purpose. Like a mug that says, "Don't feminize me until I've had my coffee." Or Maria when she's had too much to drink. So Christine sips from something disappointingly plain, with koalas on it. Smoothest brain of all mammals, she was informed by a revitalized page when she picked it, and smiles indulgently at Indira and Hassan, who are failing horribly at their stated goal of leaving to visit some of Hassan's extended family in the next county, because they're perched on the end of the table, kissing again. You're going to be late, Christine says. You're going to make me late. You're going to make me late, says Vicky, who is driving them to the station. Fine, Indira says, between kisses. Fine. Look, we're done. She says that, Hassan says, pecking Deer on the cheek, but just wait till we're in the car. No, Vicky says, wagging a finger. No canoodling on my back seat. Canoodling? Christine mouths to Paige, who's mostly been ignoring the commotion while she absorbs caffeine. She shrugs and smiles, with a little one-sided grin she used to throw Christine's way all the time. Dira tugs on the strap on the back of Christine's tank top. She couldn't be bothered to dress femme, not before she's finished waking up, and if Aunt Bee has any complaints, then she knows where the appropriate retort is printed on the side of a mug, and drags her up and out of her seat, into a hug. Indira's going away again, and when she comes back their relationship will have changed forever, so Christine squeezes her former sponsor as hard as she can, coaxing a surprised squeak out of her. Sorry. Indira draws back and kisses the end of Christine's nose. I'll be back in a few days, she whispers. I know. It seems like you're always away, though. I know. And when you get back, things will be different. I'll always make time for you, Teeny. You know that. So I know. Sorry for being so clingy. Shush. And welcome to your first day as a free woman. A final squeeze, and Christine releases her. Have a good trip, she says, and kisses Indira on the cheek. Another change. Another inflection point. Too many of those in too short a time. She knows how Paige feels. Everything's suddenly moving so fast. You're not panicking about being girls anymore, so get out and make room for the next lot. Not actually how it works. The program couldn't function if dozens of program graduates didn't stay on, or come back to visit. And it'll probably be healthier for some of them if they took a year away from Dorley and found themselves a new hobby. But it's hard to remember sometimes. Christina rebuilt her whole life on a foundation that now feels unstable. So when she cries, watching Indira step out the front door, blowing kisses and waving, it's entirely natural that Paige embraces her, rubs the back of her neck, carefully sits her back down and refills her coffee. They share wordless smiles and keep fingers entwined on the table as they drink, listening to the sizzle of the coffee machine, the mechanical mutterings of the dishwasher, and the bird song from somewhere outside the barred windows. Old ladies together. A few minutes later, a pair of haggard-looking sponsors pass through the kitchen through their way downstairs. Pippa barges her way through the doors, deposits herself at the table, and buries her face in her folded arms. Christine exchanges glances with Paige, who puts a tentative hand on Pippa's shoulder. You okay, Pippa? Christine says. She breathes heavily through her teeth. I'm not cut out for this, she says. You want to talk about it? No. She sighs through her whole body, lifting her shoulders and letting the tension ripple down her spine. But I should. It's Stefan. I'm just completely lost. Is he okay? Right now? Absolutely not. What happened? He was just different today. The whole time up to now, he's been no trouble. At all. The worst he's ever given me is, I don't know, flippant sarcasm. She lifts her head, props it on her wrists, and accepts with her free hand a fresh cup of coffee from Christine, who sits back down on the other side and mimics the light touch that Pippa's been maintaining on Pippa's shoulder. And that should be exactly what I want, yeah? But he keeps, I don't know, short-circuiting me. Because I remember what I was like in his position, and he's just completely different. And I remember what everyone else in my intake was like, and he's not like them either. He's not like anyone I've seen in the files, and I've read everyone's files while I try to work him out. You two included, sorry. It's fine, Paige says and smiles at Christine over Pippa's head. We're not those people anymore. He's not even like Melissa. Even she was a little trouble at the start. Not combative, not if you believe Abby, but she argued. Or at least sulked, I guess. I don't know. Abby's redacted a lot. But Stefan, he just sits there and takes it. We get him up early. He goes along with it. We send him to their rooms. He goes along with it. Christine relaxes a little. She's been tense ever since Pippa mentioned Melissa. There are far too many things that join her and Steph together, and it's only the routine redaction of biographical information from the daily files that so far seems to have kept them from being obvious. But Pippa merely mentioned her as an example and moved on instantly. There's no indication that she knows anything. Paranoid, Christine, she scolds herself. But that's good, isn't it? She says. His sister, yeah, Pippa says. His sister, who he loves so much, he'll suffer any indignity for her. Feels a bit unlikely, but I get it. She turns her bracelet around on her wrists again. So it didn't really feel like anything matters, that I'm always messing up with him because he never actually makes trouble. But I've been worrying about it because when push comes to shove, I need to know how he works to help him through the steps. But I've not been too worried because, I've got time. They only start on the estradiol tonight, and it's going to take a while for that to bear fruit. And he's so steady, just keeps going and going, watching his books and watching his movies, reading his books. He's even been a moderating force on the 3 boys he hangs out with. Kind of. She laughs for a moment. Think it'll take 100-mile-an-hour wrench to the head to change Aaron. Just knock out the little chunk of his brain that compels him to... never mind. She coughs, and Christine rubs her shoulder. It's okay. So I felt a little just in the last day or two, like I've been establishing a rapport with him, but this morning everything just came crashing down. How so? Paige asks, Christine's biting her lip, looking away to mask her concern for Steph. When he woke up this morning, when we woke him up earlier than usual, it's like whatever gets him through the day just didn't wake up with him. He yelled at Aaron. That might have been bad enough to seriously screw up the fragile friendship they've been building. He scolded himself badly in the shower. Deliberately, I'm sure. Like it was some kind of self-harm thing. Like he just really, really wanted to hurt himself. Hey, Christine says. Slow down. Take your time. Pippa's been tensing, raising her voice, rising out of her seat. Especially with Aunt B in the next room, calm is preferable. Thanks. Sorry. He wouldn't talk to me after the shower thing. Just marched back to his room. And for the physical, it was me and Maria. She's helping me out now. Don't remember if you remember her getting the assignment. A pair of nods reassures her that they do. But the new nurse, she's horrid. She gave him the physical and he completely shut down. It was like, you know how some people get after the, down there. Pippa, Paige says, neither of us are sensitive about our orchies anymore. You can say the word. Christine wants to argue. She reserves the right to be pissed off about it. Even if she'd get it done voluntarily if she happens to need one and was asked, say, today, but she keeps quiet. Well, the orchie, Pippa says. Apparently it's at least as sensitive about hers as Christine is. It hits some of us like a total invasion, right? Like, no matter the changes you've had up to this point, that's the first big one. The real, total disruption of bodily integrity, yes. It's mutilation, Paige says. If you don't ask for it, it's mutilation. Right, yes, well, Stefan behaved like that. It's like he was being invaded. And the only way he could get through it was to just switch off, to wait it out. Like he was being... Christine can guess what Pippa wants to say. She's not going to say it, but Christine's thinking it. And she's wondering if there's some way she can get Steph out. Because this is far from the last time someone's going to do something like that and punish him if he makes the slightest fuss about it. Who's this new nurse? She asks. Barbara retired. The new one, Karen, I don't know her. I assume she's, one of us, but she's old. Older than Maria, I think, and I've never seen her before. And she talked about Stefan like he wasn't even there. Like she was a vet and he was a dog, and she handled his genitalia, inspected it, measured it. Oh, Christine says, that's new. Afterwards, he barely said a word, wouldn't go to breakfast. I apologized to him for how it was and said I would have warned him if I knew, and he said why. And I was really flipping angry with him because why wouldn't I be? Then I saw myself through his eyes and it made me feel so flipping wrong. But it was like I couldn't keep a lid on it. And I don't know why I threatened him with a strike if he didn't go to breakfast, and he didn't seem to care. What did you do? Left him in his room. Couldn't think of anything else to do. Did you give him a strike? No. You know what I think? Paige says. I think you need to forget about him for a while. Paige, I'm serious. He's not going anywhere. And if he's in his room, he's safe. Hungry, maybe, but you can ask one of the duty girls to send down a couple cereal bars in the dumbwaiter. He might be miserable right now, but you know what always helped me when something happened that I couldn't deal with? What? Time. Give him time. Don't bother him while he's recovering. And come out to Armsworth with us instead of sitting around worrying about him. No, not this. Christine's willing to go along with Paige's assertions and not bother Steph for the moment, but this is beyond the pale. I said I didn't want to go shopping, Paige. I said I wanted a nice sleepy day where absolutely nothing happens. Until tonight, when we're going out, I guess. That was before. Now we have 2 reasons to go. To get you some clothes, which you need, and to give Pippa a chance to de-stress. Get away from all this. Paige catches Christine's eye when Pippa looks away, and there's a request there. Fine, Christine says, but I still don't see why I need clothes. I have all your clothes. First, presumptuous. Second, I'm 2 inches taller than you, Christine. You need clothes that fit. And your selection of nice things is pitiful. Besides this, she makes quotes with her forefingers, is a fun bonding activity for girls. It's in the manual. Back me up, Pippa. Pippa blinks and takes a second to gather herself before answering. Well, and Christine's forced to agree with Paige. The girl really does need some relief from the situation Christine put her in. Yes, Pippa says. Not exactly that wording, but yes. Group bonding while engaged in traditionally girly activities. Rerunning being a mid-teenager, but in your early 20s, with more money. Christine holds up her hands. I'm already beaten. We're going shopping. Good, Paige says. You don't know how long I've been looking forward to putting you in something cute and taking you to town and buying you something nice. And this might be one of the last sunny days of the year. Go ask Aunt B for the card. Why me? You're the one who's been put on the accounts. Christine drains her coffee and pushes away from the table. The other two follow her into the dining hall, flanking her as she heads to the central table, where Aunt B is eating breakfast with the second years and some of their sponsors. No Nell. An enforced break? Or is she downstairs, applying her brand of signature unpleasantness to the boys running around down there? Not including Steph, hopefully. Faye and Rebecca beckon her over, so she joins them at the end of their table, an elbow in the back of each chair, leaning between them and accepting quick hugs from a pair of girls otherwise preoccupied with the toast and coffee. Most of the second years are still wearing exercise clothes and hoodies and shirts thrown over the top in order to be more presentable for breakfast, and Christine grimaces. She doesn't miss being rounded up with all the other second years, 4 times a week at various times a day to run on the treadmills and lift hilariously small pink weights in the first floor exercise room. Might have been necessary. A year underground with no easily weaponizable gym equipment leaves you quite out of shape, but it's a chore that she's grateful to be free of, even if her own exercise regime has degraded to the occasional run around campus. Paige quietly explains their plans to Aunt B, whose eyes flicker to Pippa, then Christine. You'll be well behaved, I trust, she says. Christine straightens up and draws a cross on her chest. Like saints, Aunt B. And this evening, your plans? We're meeting up with Vicky and Lorna, Paige says, and going out. Exact destination TBD. Christine adds. Aunt B nods, reaches into her bag, and after a little rooting around, passes a credit card across the table. 6 pairs of second-year eyes follow it into Christine's hand. Don't go mad with it. Christine squeezes Faye's shoulder and steps away from the table, linking back up with Pippa and Paige. No promises, she calls, and on her left, Pippa laughs. There's a selection of white noise files on the phones they hand out, and Stefan's been plugged into one. Rain Valley 3 hours.mp3, since shortly after Pippa left. Eyes closed, lying on his back under the covers, clenching and unclenching his fists, calming himself down. Despite the duvet, he felt exposed, so, after a little while, keeping his headphones on to the best of his ability, he added a long-sleeve top over the t-shirt and put the hoodie on back over it all. He lies there now, layers over layers, too warm but safe. Even if they spy on him through the cameras, there's nothing to see but his face. Stefan wants badly to berate himself, but there's no reason and there's no point. No version of him that could have borne the examination gracefully. So he tries to blank his mind and listen to the rain. I'm not here. Aaron knocks. 90 minutes of rain sounds later. Yells through the door that he just wants to see what's up. Stefan struggles out of bed. He got more wrapped up in the duvet than he realized, and lets him in. Doesn't cover up again when he sits back down, though. Aaron looking at him isn't so bad, so he doesn't make judgments. At least he didn't before. Aaron kicks the door shut behind him and sits on the chair. Like Stefan, he's wearing more layers than usual. Maybe the examination got to him too. So, Aaron says, how are you doing? You wank yet? Aaron spins in the chair and picks up the sample cup from the desk. Evidently not. Me neither. Something about having an evil old hag digitally masticate my meat and 2 veg just doesn't put me in the mood. No amount of heavily curated iPad porn is going to change that. He balances the cup on his finger, spins it like a plate, catching it when it threatens to escape. Don't know why they even need the cup. I have this patch on my wall I've been pretty good at hitting. It's like a sport, or making your own entertainment, the way our ancestors did. If I hit the spunk spot, it's a good wank. If I don't, I just have to keep going till I do, until the blood from the friction burns gets too distracting. Anyway, they'd have whole gallons of my precious, precious baby juice soaking into the paint that they could come for at any time. He starts flipping through the iPad. Yeah, they gave you the same shit they gave me. Hoping they got you better stuff, but this is just like swimsuit models, blowjobs, blah blah fucking blah. Would it have killed them to give us some sexy aunts or rubber maids or girls using each other or trans girls sucking each other off? This is all so fucking vanilla. No wonder the women here act like they've had no fun in years. No wonder I couldn't get it up. Looking at this one, it's just a chick sitting on a rock, her hair all billowy in the wind. It's like a commercial for fucking shampoo. I can feel myself getting softer just looking at it. Hell, I'm practically inverting. He throws the iPad next to Stefan on the bed. So, quick question. Not really very important at all, so don't worry about it if not. But have you been finding it to get hard lately? Trickier than usual, I mean, because I feel like I've got no petrol in my tank, and nowhere around here is selling premium unleaded. Talk to me, Stefan. You've dismissed my very real and valid concern about my pecs getting flabby, and I don't want you to dismiss my incredibly tragic erectile dysfunction with the same nonchalance. Seriously. Quality of wanks. Getting better, getting worse, about the same? I haven't tried yet, Stefan says. Not at all. Not since you came here. Stefan shakes his head, and Aaron coughs nervously. God, if I'd known I was masturbating for 2, I wouldn't have wasted all that time sleeping. No wanks. Not even one quick toss after waking up with a boner. You really haven't just lain here, put on one of those lame-ass movies they loaded us up with, and then found that part's the most suggestive, then kept hitting the go back 10 seconds button with one hand while getting yourself off with the other? No dick flick to the chick flick? Shit. Man, I know this place is hell in the libido, but that's something else. You know it's not November for another week, yeah? What? Aaron launches into an explanation of No Not November, of which Stefan is already aware. Aaron strongly disapproves because suppressing the natural urges is how you get serial killers and electro swings banned, man. And Stefan just listens, inserting the occasional syllable where it seems required to keep the flow going, but otherwise letting the stream of consciousness flow over him. It's calming, way better than the forest sounds. So, Aaron says mid-monologue, bouncing himself onto the mattress on the other end of the bed from Stefan. That medical exam was weird, huh? Fuck it. Might as well come to terms with it. He's friends with a little bastard, and talking to him is better than the alternative. Right? He says. The nurse was even freaking Pippa out, and I don't know why I had to be naked the whole time. You don't need to be naked to have your blood drawn. It's a power play. Maria's been giving these books to read about, like toxic masculinity and stuff, expanding my vocabulary, so now I can just say with confidence the whole thing was really carefully planned to disempower us. He says the word like he learned it in junior school, with a grin, to make us feel vulnerable and completely at their mercy, and also kind of cold. I'm amazed you've read any books that Maria gave you. Yeah, well, she temporarily deleted all the books and movies and books on my phone. No choice. What's Pippa been making you read? Nothing? Really? What is she doing then? Literally nothing. I watch movies and read books when I'm alone. Don't have any homework or anything like that. God, swap? Yeah, like they'd let us. Maybe the lesson I have to learn is about dealing with extreme boredom. Yeah, Aaron says and shifts a little closer. Miss you at breakfast, man. Weetabix and oat milk isn't just the same with Will and Adam to stare at, and Raph is still lurking like a big fucking weirdo. He walks past, looking at me, and the music from Jaws plays. So, what do you think? Come to lunch? Stefan stretches, keeps the sleeves wrapped around his fingers, feels the fabric grow taut across his back and scratch at his sensitive skin. It's energizing. He's still here, still alive. Here's the pain to prove it. He'll be ready for the next thing. He won't get caught out like that again. Yeah, he says. Okay, Aaron jumps from the bed. Good. I'm sorry about this morning. Hey, Aaron says, standing by the door, waiting for Stefan to open it with his thumbprint. It does me good to look my demons in the face sometimes, even if they are naked, damp, and being strangely earnest. Besides, this place gets to all of us eventually. Some of us have a freak out in the privacy of our own rooms. Others try our best to give ourselves third-degree burns in the shower. Are you still sore from that? Stefan prods the biometric reader and holes in the door. Little bit, yeah. Here? Aaron says, poking at Stefan's shoulder as they head out into the corridor. Ow, yes, I'm still sore there. What about here? Ow, how about, ha, miss. Hey, come back. You were mean to me and I need to punish you. It's the only way I can get personal satisfaction. It might be the only way I can get cum in the cup. Leave me alone, you psycho. Stefan evades him, dodging away from Aaron's fingers and rounding the corner into the main corridor, almost tripping over Maria, and the perplexed look on her face only makes him laugh harder. End of chapter 11.